who is the Chief Executive Officer of Switch Mobility.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be in the EV and Smart Technology Summit organized by Manufacturing Today and ITP Media. I'm also very thrilled to see a lot of participants in the industry having keen interest to see how EVs are accelerating through cutting edge innovation. I would say the global automotive industry is undergoing a tectonic shift in the last 2 decades and towards particularly sustainable mobility. EVs play a very vital role in this sustainable mobility with zero tailpipe emissions. Globally, in the past decade, this shift has given us disruptive change in the automotive value chain, and mobility is being defined completely as sustainable. A decade back, whatever targets we have set, either in India or globally, has been already broken, and the adoption has been faster than anybody could have thought in the industry. India, being a what I would say follower in auto industry for the last century, is looking at an opportunity to change that into leading the value chain of technology in EVs. I would say this decade is very critical for Indian auto industry to innovate and come up with global participation in supply chain in EV, having a knowledge base in India. I strongly believe EVs as a very primary software embedded led development than an automotive development. If you look at automotive industry product development 5 to 10 years back, the effort needed on software and electronics to bring an automobile would be around 10 to 30%, depending on the segment. And most of the 70% of the work is setting up the other systems in the vehicle. This is quickly changing, and I'm seeing that a prediction of about 70% effort needed for developing an automobile would be in the software and IT, and only 30% would be in other mechanical systems. This clearly indicates that India, being a leading capital in IT, can play a very vital role globally. India's EV industry is in a very nascent stage. But having said that, most of us believe that the other areas like Europe, China, US continent have gone much higher. But I would like to say that India is not far behind, and we are in the start of a start. So we have not even started this revolution. This revolution is going to happen in this decade, and India is not far behind, and we can play a vital role through our innovation to be part of this change globally. The government of India has done substantial interventions to help the industry to be playing a vital role in this transition. If you look at what has happened in FAME 1 subsidy, which started in 2013, we had a FAME 2 revision, which helps adoption of electric mobility. The faster adoption of electric vehicles, the scheme not only gives benefit to the demand, but also has given benefits for infrastructure like charging. If you look at mobility today in India, it is being disrupted through cutting edge innovation, through connectivity, electric vehicles, and convenience to the customers. You can see a lot of shared mobility model coming in, which can see as mobility as a service. You have seen multiple models from two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and buses being launched in electric version in the last decade. So there is a product innovation. There is an innovation at the customer side. Even innovation around finance is being seen for electric vehicles very specifically. India is a very unique market of two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheeler cars, buses, and many more. Most of the vehicles sold in India are two-wheelers, about 80 to 85%. They also consume about 50% of the fuel being imported by the country. So the focus of the country is to make public transport electric, like buses, convert the two-wheeler, which is a large industry, into electric, and look at converting this industry into a very sustainable by way of Make in India. I think if you link all the three, looking at the transition happening in auto industry, looking at transition happening in energy, and looking at Make in India as a concept being supported by government of India, then industry and consumers in India can not only enjoy a sustainable products and services, But we have to also look at how do we play a key role in the global supply chain. We'll have to start thinking about how India can play a major part in supply chain of electric mobility in the world. In the recent past, you have seen what has happened after the Paris Agreement in 2015. India was one of the 196 countries which signed the Paris Agreement to look at how we will move towards a delta of 1.5 degree or 2 degree practically every year on the climate change. After the Paris Agreement, in fact, India took a leading step by forming an international solar alliance and leading it with close to 120 countries. India's aspiration of building 450 gigawatt of our solar, which was a target in 2030, has already been achieved in the early 2022. Now we are looking at setting up 500 gigawatt more of solar, which will add up to close to 1,000 gigawatt hour of plant by 2030. India will house one of the largest solar park around the world. That's the aim of the country. So energy is getting what I would say becoming sustainable by solar, wind, and hydro and nuclear power plants. What's happening in the industry? We are seeing a substantial shift in the industry, particularly around three-wheelers, buses, two-wheelers, and cars. Three-wheelers have already moved towards a 20+% of electric adoption, and this has developed an ecosystem. Two-wheelers, we are seeing a substantial increase, double percentage of increase within a year. Electric buses, being a Switch Mobility and Ashok Leyland subsidy, we are seeing many STUs tenders, including CSL, which has recently launched a tender for 5,500 plus buses across the country. These electric buses will have a substantial impact on the environment, not only in the cities, but as a whole country. We are seeing consumers being aware of energy efficiency and looking at sustainable way of mobility throughout the country. And it is faster than any industrialist could think, and faster than I would say even a country could think. If all of this is coming together, then it's going to have a substantial impact on us. To all this happen, it's important that the technology is shifting. We are seeing a substantial work, and what I have seen in the recent past, the number of IPRs in battery is much higher than engines today. So there is a clear shift in technology moving towards battery and sustainable storage devices. Battery plays a very vital role in this transition. Electric vehicles have been invented 100 years back, but it became successful only when an innovation around battery could able to store and have cycle life higher than 1,000 cycles. The lithium ion completely changed the EV adoption curve in auto industry. Even today, there is a huge work going around battery on aluminum air, on many new technologies to see how we can jump from around 300 kilowatt hour per kg to about 500 kilowatt hour per kg energy density. Not only energy density, people are talking about life. From 1,000 cycles, slowly the industry have moved around 3,000 cycles in battery life. Today we are talking about battery life to the tune of 8 to 10 years in auto life. And we are talking about after that, there is a second life battery which can be used for energy storage for another few years. That gives a really long life of lithium ion or energy storage batteries as a whole. Innovative new chemistries of solid state is being discussed very primarily with the technologists. Most of the innovation happening in product is making the product more efficient, more reliable, more durable, and the lifespan of the product is getting increased. It is also improving the consumer behavior from a short range. When I joined the industry, we used to have a 100-kilometer range car. Now I am seeing everybody not less than 300 kilometers being discussed in India. We are talking about 500 kilometers car coming to India in a couple of years. So the consumer is getting better and better in electric vehicles. Charging time, we talked about 6 hours, 7 hours. We are talking about an hour today. There is a lot of innovation going on charging, which makes charging even 15 minutes. So quick charging, high energy density storage on batteries, long life for the consumers to use it for the life cycle of the vehicle is making electric vehicle more viable than even fossil fuel vehicle in the coming years. This transition is going to do not just the auto industry disruption, but also in the complete ecosystem of fueling and recharging. If you look at the charging infrastructure is started innovating after Government of India announced that charging is no more a sale of electricity, it is a service. Many private players, to my knowledge, credible 20 to 30 charging infrastructure players have already into the fray, and we are seeing a startup more than 50 who are working towards charging infrastructure across the country. Battery swapping and many other pantograph charging technologies are at a nascent stage to take off. I strongly believe India has a very vital role in this transition towards electric mobility. And battery, particularly innovation, is going to play a critical role in this transition, an enabler for such cutting edge movement, what I call it tectonic shift in the industry. Through this forum, I have seen people talking about batteries, people talking about EV, and finally, which is the switch mobility's favorite, net zero. We are the first automobile manufacturer in the world to announce net zero commitment. And this year, in our global factory in UK, we are looking at taking carbon credits to achieve net zero, while we will work continuously in our manufacturing strategy to achieve net zero in all the activities what we are doing. We are already working with solar alliances and solar partners who will do charging for all our buses through freewheeling of solar energy to charging our buses. We are looking at building factories in India, Spain, UK, and many other with the net zero commitment of those factories, which is making not only the product but also the way in which we manufacturing is sustainable. Finally, you all know India has committed towards net zero as a country by 2070. Switch Mobility, being a subsidiary of Ashok Leyland, we have already started the journey. We are a global player, and I strongly believe every industry of automobile is already looking at net zero to achieve what in the whole manufacturing cycle and in the life cycle. I wish all the participants in this summit to have a wonderful exchange of innovative ideas and come up with some futuristic solutions, not only for India, but across the globe. All the best to every one of you, and thank you.